Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Sirhan on X, live from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States. Hope everyone had themselves a wonderful 28th of January 2025. Actually, a pretty decent day out here. Temperatures starting to get warmer. The snow's starting to fade away. We start to see the grass inside of all that white that was covering the grass for the last month or so, with those sunshine and the warmer temperatures. So it means spring weather is lurking, and I'm looking forward to it. Um, Again, the soccer season and the baseball season's coming up over here with FC Cincinnati and, of course, the Cincinnati Reds. I'll be down on Thursday, March 27th for opening day. And as we know, here in Cincinnati, the only time I put my Cincinnati sports hat on, nobody does opening day like Cincinnati. And I'm looking forward to being a part of it. Going to be a fun time as always. So hope everyone is doing, excuse me, hope everyone out there is doing themselves well today. There's a couple of subjects I want to touch on, and of course, a couple of historical moments. One of them I saw this morning, which was more eye-opening than I thought. I'm going to get right down to it. Now we have the Pro Bowl alternates. I guess in the AFC, it's Drake May and Russell Wilson replacing Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, respectively. Question I have is, why are people still taking the Pro Bowl seriously? Because everyone is still making a hubbub over it. The Pro Bowl luster has gotten so bad, they could probably put me on a Pro Bowl alternate roster and put me on a roster spot. That's how bad the Pro Bowl ideology is. There's going to be some wild events, flag football, whatever the frick it is. It's not the honor or the flex everyone thinks it is, because now we're having people who are asking yourself, why are they being selected for the Pro Bowl after the top guys went out? There's a reason why guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson want no part of it, and we see the reason why. Of course, a bigger question is Drake May over Bo Nix. I mean, no offense to Drake May, who I thought was a solid quarterback, but over Bo Nix, who led his team to the playoffs for a 10-win season, for a Broncos team that had basically no expectations going in. But then again, as I said, that's why the Pro Bowl is basically the equivalent of a banana league, and we know what happens with banana leagues. They're not necessarily the greatest. I mean, people act like getting the distinction is an honor when it really isn't. I mean, the product is basically watered down. The ratings are going to be down. Maybe some of the events they have leading up to it might be fun. I'm okay with that. But the actual Pro Bowl game and to be an actual Pro Bowl honor is not necessarily what the flex you think it is. Because there are some people here who think it is, especially Bengals fans with their top three guys, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson, when it really isn't. It's not what you think it is anymore. It's not what it was back in the day, because that thing just watered itself out. It's even, you could argue, it's even a worse so-called all-star exhibition than the NBA was, and the NBA really watered that product down. So good luck trying to make sense out of all of this. And if you still think being a Pro Bowl nominee is the flex you think it is, please go to a local hospital and get checked for CTE and then come back to me for results, because the Pro Bowl has no distinction, no value, or any of it whatsoever. But of course, that's the only thing Bengals fans can hang their heads on, because that's the only way they're going to see their top guys, because they weren't good enough to make the playoffs. I got one in particular I'm going to get to here in a minute, because I got caught in the crosshairs on this next subject. Speaking of that next subject, once again, the outcry of the referees, again, of the AFC title game between Kansas and Buffalo. The story, of course, is that fourth down play where on the one surface it looks like he crossed. Josh Allen crossed, got the first down. Second one, he didn't. Another play where they thought apparently they're going to try and throw a flag when there wasn't one. Apparently caught by somebody, I don't know who it was. Why is it that everyone wants to be the sore loser and point the fingers at the referees, when basically you just need to look at a whole totality of a whole game when your team just wasn't good enough to win again? Because it's 3 times in the last 4 seasons this Buffalo team played Kansas City, and basically Kansas has outplayed them all 3 times. Not about maybe you play, I won't say all the time, but outplayed them in key moments, in key situations, without the need of the referee's help. I mean, I get it. There's going to be that. This was it a first down? Have at it. I thought it was. I thought he got it by a pinch, but it's not the reason why Buffalo lost that game. Why did they lose the game? I said before, the mistake of 2 times going for 2-point conversions and missing, that made no sense. And another situation where Josh Allen had open receivers and missed them. And Kansas City just made the plays, especially the last one with a screen from Patrick Mahomes to Samaje Perine, and he clinched the first down, and that was basically all she wrote. The game down the stretch was well managed by Kansas City and mismanaged by Buffalo. That's why the game was lost, not because of some, conspiracy theory you morons like to bust out of here when it comes to referees and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, mind you, they were one of the top teams in penalties accepted over the last 2.5 years. You might want to do some actual research, and you'll see it. And it seems to me that at Bengals fans now, and I hate to go outside the box, but this has to be brought up because I got in the crosshairs, and now I'm going to answer the question. Bengals fans are now talking about that play 2 years ago where Joseph Asai whacked Patrick Mahomes out of bounds and tried to say the referees had it on them. And then there is these two morons right here. I'm going to push this up over here. I'll let you read that while I go ahead and talk about this for a second. Well, let's start with this. First of all, Chris Rowling is a degrading human being. I'm not giving him the time of day. He was the one who called me out. Second of all, we know who the captain is. He's a degrading moron himself. I'm not giving him the time of day either. First of all, nobody is going to apologize for you because all you did was whine about the officials from the beginning to now, and you're still doing it, and you're still not stopping. Let me remind you, this is the same fan base who accused Kansas City of basically having the referees in their pocket in that 2022 AFC title game. Going into this season, after all the slandering they did to their coaches, their players, and their fans, wanting Kansas City to bail them out in the season finale when Kansas rested their starters in Denver, wanting Kansas to bail them out to give them a playoff spot they didn't deserve. And they turned around and accused the same Kansas City Chiefs of quitting. And now that this goonhead Chris Rowling, who was one of the who spearheaded all of this, now comes out and wants an apology because they said they were right when it comes to the officials. Well, first of all, Chris Rowling is a bona fide moron. I mean, if you have to live under a rock if you don't think this. Second of all, for 1 minute you wanted to hate the team. They wanted the team to bail you out, and now you're back to hating the team. That's a reason why I stay away from 90% of you guys over there in Cincinnati for this particular reason. Because once again, you want to force yourselves into conversations you have no business being in. And as a Bengals fan myself, do you see me putting myself into this conversation? No. Why? I don't have a leg to stand on. I said this before. If you don't have a leg to stand on, just shut up and disappear. Too bad that this idiot Chris Rowling doesn't have the balls to go shut up and go away and demand an apology for saying he was a conspiracy theorist. This goes back to even Super Bowl 56 with the so-called hold by Logan Wilson on Cooper Kupp that set up the game-winning touchdown, which the Bengals had 5 chances to put it away and didn't. So don't be crying for an apology when you're out here day in, day out, week in and week out, spearheading all of these theories, playing the woe is me, slandering Chiefs fans, Ravens fans, and Steelers fans year in and year out, and then asking them to bail you out of a playoff spot. And then all of a sudden, you want to call for this? No one's feeling sorry for you right now, Chris Rowling. You're just a bona fide moron right now as I'm looking at this and I'm reading this. You can come at me all you want. I don't care. Because I said all along, I stand right here. You're over there. That's why I call you guys a funny house filled with wacky heads stuck with Skyline Chilies, alcohol, heroin, and criminal records. And I'm just going to sit here and just laugh at you guys again. I don't know why you guys feel the need to bring it up. I don't know why you feel the need to put me in the crosshairs, because I told you guys from the beginning that this was going to happen. You guys didn't want to listen. Now you guys are resorting to wanting apologies because you think you guys told the truth. No, you didn't tell the truth. You guys just kept whining and whining and whining and whining and whining. I mean, I'm not even a newborn baby whines as much as you guys do. I mean, my goodness. Please shut up and enjoy the offseason. You guys are going to see your favorite quarterback and wide receiver in the Pro Bowl. Just go ahead and enjoy that. I just end the conversation right there. Because I get annoyed when I talk about referees and I get in the crosshairs. I hate talking about referees because I said and all along, they're human beings. They have games where they're going to miss calls and they're not going to get every single call correct. They're human beings. Does it happen all the time? Yes. Does it happen against the Chiefs? Yes. Does it happen for the Chiefs perception-wise? Yes. Does it mean they're rigging the games for them? No. That's where people, especially in Buffalo and Cincinnati, need to shut up right now because they don't have a leg to stand on. I don't care what all these media people say, like Mark Schlereth, Adam Schefter, Julie Taylor, whatever the hell they said, because of course it's going to be a narrative they're going to talk about. It's all it is, just a narrative, nothing more, nothing less. They're doing it to generate ratings. They're doing it to generate views, and I'm not buying it. Good luck down the line, because if they complete this three-peat, I don't want to imagine what the conspiracy theories are going to be. So everybody right now just need to flat out just stop it, leave it be. The season in Buffalo is over. The city of Cincinnati's been over, and no, the Chiefs did not quit because they weren't afraid of you, because the New England Patriots weren't afraid of you either. Case is closed. Sorry, I don't like to call people out on this, but I got dragged to the crosshair, so I had to respond. Well, speaking of responding, earlier this morning, I saw something very, very, very eye-popping. It basically backed my claim for about the last 5 to 6 years. This was the replay of the UFC 229, Khabib Nurmagomedov, I can't even pronounce the guy's name, against Conor McGregor. Apparently, the audio footage of this fight in this match was pulled up and basically backed up my point then. It validated my point where I said this guy wanted to kill Conor McGregor in the ring. And man, he got darn near close. I mean, this guy's basically pounding McGregor on the, pinning McGregor on the ground, punching him, basically saying, let's talk. Basically saying, you want some of this? And a whole bunch of other stuff, expletive language. I will not use this platform for it. But he's out here because of all the things that Conor McGregor did. And we know what Conor McGregor is all about. The guy's a bona fide coward. We know this. I mean, the stuff he bashed about, Khabib's family, religion, country. I think there was also an incident with a bus. I saw the video. I can't make out what it was, but whatever it is, that stuff immature teenagers do. And we know Conor McGregor is not more than an immature teenager. The guy's just a bona fide coward. And of course, I don't know this. In between rounds 1 and 2, I think that was Khabib's brother telling Conor basically the guy's basically telling him to go for the kill. And of course, we know what happened in that second round. The guy basically just grabs him around the neck. Basically, he's telling Conor to tap, 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 because he was gonna. It looked like he was gonna put him in a chokehold and put him out. And I don't mean literally put him out. I mean really put him out. And basically, Conor McGregor just tapped. And of course, he holds on to Khabib holds on to Conor 5 more seconds till the referee Herb Dean just had to literally physically pull him away from him. And I did not know this, but he actually spit on Conor McGregor after the fight. I seen this whole thing for the first time with all the audio stuff, and I'm aware that there's just pure hatred between Khabib and Conor McGregor, and we know why. I mean, you do the things and say the things that Conor McGregor does, you're gonna get that from you. I'm surprised that was all Khabib was able to do. I thought maybe you could have made a case. You could have done more for everything that was said, because Conor McGregor, we know how he is. He says outlandish stuff. I don't think he's even aware of what the stuff he says. He went a little too far with this for whatever reason. And basically, Khabib just took it out on Conor and basically just beat the brakes off of him at the next level. Of course, we know what happened after the fight. Members of Khabib's camp jumped in to beat up Conor McGregor. Khabib went after Conor McGregor's people in one of those ugliest things I've ever seen after a fight. But I've said this all along when it came to Conor McGregor. When he had when he jumped into the boxing ring to fight Floyd Mayweather in that boxing match, his 5 minutes of fame were up. He basically resorted to what he resorted to after that. And basically, this fight was just a symbolic of who he is and what he is at the end of the day. Aside of that lucky wild one kick on Jose Aldo way back in the day, where basically he just timed it perfectly and luckily, the guy is basically just all about the dollars, the theatrics, and the mouth. I mean, the last 2 fights, he got dusted up by Dustin Poirier, and the guy was busy ducking Michael Chandler for the longest time, because we know Chandler wiped his face in the octagon the same way Khabib did. I mean, this is symbolic of who Conor McGregor is. I get it in combat sports because I covered boxing. I did some MMA back when the light heavyweight division was hot with Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell. The list goes on and on. Some people say things for prop up. Some people say things maybe a little bit on the line. But then there's Conor McGregor, who went over the line and who basically got what he deserved and then some in this UFC 229 after I listened to this entire audio. I mean, this was like the equivalent of jumping someone in the street and literally just punking him right in the middle of it. You want some of this? Pound, pound. Come on, let's talk now. Pound. That's exactly what happened on this night. And of course, the chokehold that he did, which I said all along, in another 10 seconds, I think Khabib would have gone out and basically killed Conor McGregor. And I don't mean literally either. I mean, he had an agenda, and we know how Conor McGregor likes to stick a fork into some people and rile some people up, and that's what happened. So I got a chance to listen to a full audio of this, and it's one of the most craziest things I ever seen. I mean, we knew how bad the animosity is between the two and how deep of a hatred Khabib had for him. Didn't know it ran that deep. It was deeper than what I first thought, and I thought it was pretty deep when I first saw this fight and all the buildup. Now, the best part of this was Khabib killed it at the post-fight press conference when he basically just blasted the media saying, "You're going to talk about me jumping the cage and attacking Conor's people, but you're not going to talk about Conor bashing my religion or my family or my country or doing what he did to the bus that could have killed some people." I mean, I said all along, Conor McGregor was all about the entertainment and the dollars, especially when he made the crossover from the UFC to the boxing ring. And when he had that boxing match with Floyd Mayweather Jr., that his 5 minutes of fame were up. And Khabib, basically, I think it was like I want to say it's more than a year and a half later. Somebody could correct me on this. When this fight happened, and Khabib just said, "The hell with it, I'm beating what's left of him." And basically, he got the fight beaten out of him because we haven't seen Conor McGregor relevant ever since. He's always talked about wanting to fight Michael Chandler. We know he's ducking. He ducked him. He faked a toe injury, among many things, a la David Haye in boxing. And of course, the 2 losses to Dustin Poirier, which the second fight, I don't even know who the heck I was watching. Because even a corpse of Dustin Poirier, and he mops up Conor McGregor. Man, I swore even then, I thought I was going to see a real life killing in the ring, in that octagon that night. What I saw in the video replay with all the audio that was said coming out of Khabib's mouth to Conor McGregor's face after everything that was done is pretty validated. I can see why Khabib just genuinely, deep down in the heart and the soul, hates that guy. I don't blame him either. You bash my religion or my country, go that sort of crown, or my personal national heritage. You want to bash in that area? You got another thing coming. Don't even try it. Kudos to Khabib for this one. One of the all-time great UFC champions, in my opinion. Don't know, I could put him in the GOAT category like an Anderson Silva, but he had a hell of a run. Shout out to him. Now we conclude with the historical moment in boxing history. And this one doesn't get talked about enough when we talk about probably the greatest trilogy ever. It was 51 years ago today. It was the rematch, the second of the trilogy, between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Everybody knows about the first fight, March 8, 1971, arguably the greatest heavyweight championship fight ever. Everybody knows, of course, the Thrilla in Manila, October 1st, 1975. Arguably the most brutal fight in heavyweight title history. This one doesn't get talked about enough because it was like the winner of this fight was probably more likely going to be the top dog for the heavyweight champion at the time, who was George Foreman. And it was 1 year, nearly more than a year after George Foreman administered the beating to Joe Frazier, and Ali was looking for his revenge. They fight for some tier 2 belt for the number 1 ranking, where the winner is probably going to get the number 1 spot, especially if it was Ali, because he was driven to get his title back after it was vacated, or he was stripped from it for reasons. Again, you know what the reasons are. I won't use a platform for it. But this was the brilliance of Muhammad Ali, again, where he basically just had Frazier in trouble early and basically just took over from there. Won the fight probably in the I'd probably say around like 9-6, 10-5 range, where he won basically won almost every round for the most part. Frazier sort of had his moments, but Ali just controlled the fight from start to finish. But it's sort of symbolic because it was a year removed after Frazier just got beaten to a drum by George Foreman, and you could almost see that the beating Foreman gave him started to take his physical toll because Ali knew it and basically just picked him apart by being Muhammad Ali. Now, of course, there's all the chaos about all the clinches that Ali was able to have because Frazier was trying to get inside, work like he did the Ali in their first fight in 1971. Problem was Muhammad Ali had answers for it this time and basically did anything and everything he wanted to. Not talked about much in the trilogy, probably because the other 2 fights, probably 2 of the 10 greatest fights in combat sports history, not just boxing history, all of combat sports. We think of the back and forth of the first fight in March 8, 1971 at Madison Square Garden. Of course, the third fight that took place in the Philippines, October 1st, 1975, was probably the most brutal fight in maybe heavyweight championship history, where both guys were basically finished. I mean, Frazier was basically done. I mean, Eddie Futch basically saved his life that night. It is not. This one's not talked about enough, but it's still a part of probably the greatest trilogy in boxing history, bar none, not even close. The gold standard of boxing trilogies, the gold standard of sports trilogies, or any kind of trilogies in all walk of life. And we talk about rivalries, like sports rivalries, definitely among the very, very top. We talk about Ohio State, Michigan, Lakers, Celtics, Georgetown, Villanova back in the day. You can even the 3-year, I would say, maybe Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. You was in the boxing realm, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe. This one is up there with all of the great rivalries, and number one in boxing, bar none. I mean, these two guys were simply made for one another. I mean, the back and forth, these two basically had throughout a big chunk of their trilogy, more so in their third fight in the Philippines, where they just let it all hang out. It's still the gold standard. I said all along that the Ali-Frazier trilogy is way up there. The second highest trilogy was probably Holyfield Bowe, and as close as it came, it still can't hold a candle like to Ali-Frazier. I mean, Holyfield Bowe had a terrific trilogy, but it's still at least 2 to 3 miles behind. At least 2 to 3 miles behind Ali-Frazier, because of the historic stature that Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier were fighting for during that time. 2 of the 3 fights was for the prestigious prize of them all at the time, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. That's why Ali was the greatest. And of course, we talk about the top 10 all-time great heavyweights. Joe Frazier is definitely on it. I mean, he had a great 2-year run as a 2.5-year run as champion before he lost to Foreman, which included beating Ali the first time in 1971. But it was 51 years ago today. It was the second of the third fights, the 3-fight series. Not talked about enough because it didn't have the action or the historical aura that the first and the third fights had. If we talk about historical aura in terms of rivalries, Ali-Frazier, in my opinion, tips the cake. I mean, obviously you're going to have Ohio State, Michigan. You can have a Florida State. You have a Notre Dame, USC in the college sports. Of course, Lakers, Celtics, Packers, Bears. Some of the old NFC East battles in the NFL, like the Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, and I think there's Redskins, now the Commanders, and the Eagles, because they had historical ones themselves. The 2000s, we in the NFL had the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, we talk, but they'll have a whole bunch of standout great golden rivalries, no doubt. But I say this respectfully, none of them hold a candle like to Ali-Frazier. It is, was, and always will be the gold standard of rivalries. Boy, I wish we have something like that again. I mean, the closest one I had in recent years was what? The Israel Vasquez, Rafael Marquez rivalry. Because those two were just face first, back each upside the head with a kitchen sink type rivalry. Think of I've never seen anything close to this. And of course, I got to wrap it up with probably the biggest farce that's supposed to take place. It's supposed to be the matchup of the Paul brothers, but I guess they want my attention. They're going to get it. It's one of the most. It's even a bigger farce than Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Okay, I had to see it to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I still don't want to believe it, but I was made to believe it. And this is going to be a bigger farce than Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I mean, we know what the Paul brothers are made of. We know what they're capable of. We know they're about the theatrics. We know they like to mock the real fighters who do this the right way and do it the hard way. And that's what they're doing here. I mean, Logan Paul, I thought, carved a nice, respectable niche in the wrestling industry for what it's worth, because I think he was made for something like that. And now they want this, I guess, on the I think it's on the Max channel, which everybody wants the HBO boxing back. Well, Max is part of HBO. Guess what? You got it back. You guys happy now? Congratulations. HBO boxing is back, but it's back in the way you don't want it back. I don't know what the hell's going to come out of this. I'm not even going to bother watching it. I was talking about this one time and one time only, because some of you guys already asked me for my opinion. I just gave it. I don't care for it, because what it is, it's a mockery of what real life fighters do. and I mean what real life fighters do when they took the hard road all the way back to the 1800s to now. People that take the hard road having to earn it the right way and the hard way. These two guys are just mocking it. That's what's happened. Of course, there was an exhibition a few years back, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul, but it was just an exhibition. I didn't put much stock into it. I mean, that was a farce also. But this one coming up with the Paul brothers is a bigger farce than Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul put together. Shoot, I even throw Evander Holyfield versus Victor Belfort in there. That's how big of a farce this is. And we have idiots in the boxing community who want to talk about it like it's a real thing. Newsflash, it's not. If you're thinking about this as something of a legitimate match, please leave the boxing community for good because it's not worth talking about. What this is, it's a spit in the face and disrespecting the real people in the boxing community doing this the right way, the real fighters and trainers doing this the right way. And if Jake Paul was really serious about fighting Canelo Alvarez, if he was, as he says he is, if he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez right now, as he says he does, he would take the fight right now. He would take the rematch with Logan Paul. He would take Canelo Alvarez right now, and let's see what kind of a man he is. Probably is Jake Paul is not that kind of a man because he lost his balls a long time ago, just like his brother Logan Paul when he fought that exhibition against Floyd Mayweather. What's happened to this sport? There was a time when, even when we had high-profile NFL games, NBA games, when they started to make it on their mainstream on the networks like CBS and NBC, ABC, among the others, that around that time, even the professional boxing was up there among the top stories, even because we had the names for it. But now it's become basically a laughing stock. I mean, a lot of people say it's WWE scripted or whatever. As a whole, I'm not even going to go that far because it's an apples and oranges comparison. You all can have at it. I don't partake in conspiracy theories because I think it's stupid. You can bring it up to Chris Rowling, who's a coward who loves conspiracy theories. But what in the hell's happened? There's fights we're talking about, but why don't we have that splash like we used to have way back when? I mean, who's the real splash we had? I mean, in the heavyweight division, because we know the heavyweight division was the glamour division. Lennox Lewis, and no, I don't want to hear Deontay Wilder because you know what happened when Tyson Fury fought him 3 times? He got dog walked and shipped out of town. Boy, what an embarrassment! What an embarrassment! Having to talk about these two guys, the Paul brothers, going at it on some streaming service, free service, whatever. It is what it is at this point. Don't ask me to talk about it or write about it. I just give my opinion on it, and I'm going to sit on it. Anything about this topic, you can talk to anybody else you want. But let me just remind everybody out there, if you think this is every bit as serious as it is, don't even bother talking to me because it's not serious. It's not worth talking about it as a serious fight because it isn't. And that'll wrap up this edition of Sirhan on X. I hope everyone had themselves a wonderful rest of the 28th of January 2025. In about half an hour, I'll be jumping into a pool talking about more NFL. If you want to, you're welcome to join me in there as I discuss, among many things, the playoffs and the coaching changes. Got another one coming up on Thursday. No show tomorrow or Thursday. I'll be back Friday. But until then, hope everyone had themselves a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves. And always, make self-care your number one priority. If you don't take care of yourself first, nothing else matters. Good night, everyone.